Hello everybody, this is Mrs. Fondre here today, and I would like to talk to you about printmaking. Now, if you remember at the end of last spring, we did some printmaking at home, and that's kind of what we're going to be doing again. However, I wanted to do it at the beginning of the year this year because I have quite a few students here that didn't get to try it in class, and it's a little bit different in class because it's way messier because we use ink and we use brayers, which are those handheld rollers to roll the ink on. So it's kind of a messy project, and I want to try to get a lot of those in this year just because I want to have the chance to do them before we could potentially all be home doing it virtual. So for those friends that are already home, that's okay. We're going to do it a way that works for you. All right. And the best way to do printmaking at home is to use a styrofoam plate. Yes, cannot be a paper plate because you have to be able to dent the surface to make your stamp. If you just use paper, it's already flat and you can't really make it dent in and out. You just probably rip the paper. So what you're going to want to do, you can see that the edge of this plate has these walls here. You can actually cut the whole edge off. You don't need it, all right? And for my elementary folks, what I want you to do on your styrofoam piece, I made mine into a square. You can draw whatever you like into your styrofoam piece. It could be lines, shapes, patterns. It could be a person or a puppy or a shoe. But I will warn you, if you would like to do your name or letters or numbers, you actually have to press them in backwards. So, for example, if I wanted to press my hand like this on a piece of paper, it actually is flipping your hand and it looks the opposite. So the same goes for your numbers. Let me see if I can write this down for you real quick. So if I wanted to do a number 2, that's normal, I would have to do it backwards. And it would look more, let me see if I can do it. I'm going to goof myself up. No, it's not easy. It would look like that one. Okay, so doing letters and numbers are a little tricky, but you can try it if you want to. When you have your piece of styrofoam, I would suggest using the cap of a pen or the back end of a pen, or maybe even a not sharpened pencil, because if you use the pointy end on it, you're going to probably rip a big hole in your project, and then you can't really fix it or change it. You could use it if you want to, but it won't be quite the same. So for my elementary folks, that's all I want you to do, is to come up with some sort of lines, patterns, shapes, and print it. Okay. To print it, you're going to want a plain piece of paper, and you're going to want a marker. Okay. At school, we would be using a sticky, icky ink. It's really fun to kind of roll on and to make stamps with. But for you, and what would work for you, is you're just going to draw really fast over anything you dented in. Okay. I'm going to use the side of my marker, and you can see the marker doesn't go in the areas that I pushed in. Okay. So you really want to go over everything. Okay. You can see the thing I drew is starting to show up now. Okay. And that means it's working. So you want to try to get all the edges, and it's okay if you go pretty fast for this because you don't want the ink to dry. If it dries, it won't go on your paper. All right. So once you have everything colored in the best you can do, you're going to take it and you're going to put it on a piece of paper. Squish. Let's see, I moved my camera down here a little bit. Da-da-da. Squish down the paper. Now, you want to press it down really hard everywhere. So I would recommend maybe I would use a flat remote or something to push it down and maybe draw little circles on the back of it. You could maybe use a coffee cup and do some circles. But you really want to press everywhere, especially those edges so they show up. Okay, it works a little bit better than your fingers because your fingers kind of only have that little spot that goes on. Okay, when you're done, you peel it up and you can see you made a print. All right, how about that? So that's what I'm expecting for my elementary folks. You could stop the video here, but I'm going to keep explaining for my IS students because they're doing something a little more specific. For my 5th and 6th graders, you're going to be doing the same idea printmaking wise, but there's a certain theme to it or something I'm looking for. And you're going to actually be doing rotational, so rotating like a clock, rotational symmetry. Now, we've talked about symmetry in the past, and if something is symmetrical, that means it's even on both sides. So a human face is pretty symmetrical, because if you drew a line up and down, it would have an eye over here and an eye over here, or half a nose here, half a nose there. However, for rotational symmetry, you're going to be taking a piece and printing it one direction, rotating it, and printing it another direction, rotating it again, printing another direction, and rotating it 4 times in 4 different directions. So what you're going to want to do for sure, I'm going to get my sweatshirt out of the way here, when you're making your designs on your stamp, you're going to want to think of one corner that's going to be the same or touching in the middle with all the other corners. So for mine, I could use either this sun shape, so then it would look like a sun going all the way around. I can turn my angle a little better. Or this corner right here, I just drew a square, and that would connect to a square over here, and a square up here, square over here, okay? So it's gonna kind of look like a big tile when it's all finished, all right? So if I did a stamp like this, get it really close here, and I picked my sun to be right here, I'm gonna color in my stamp again. Like I said, it's gonna be 4 stamps. And again, every time I'm gonna do it really well. Get as much of that ink on there as you can. Da-da-da. You are going to stamp it with the suns touching each other in the corner, okay? So what I mean by that is, I'm finishing my ink right now. So what I mean by that is, if the sun is right here, I'm gonna have this sun right here meet up with this one in the corner, okay? I have to do this flat on the table so I can press it, because you can't really press something on the air. And again, I'm going to use my coffee mug because it's a big flat surface, and I'm going to do little circles. Just back down so y'all can see a little bit better. Maybe if my light bulb wasn't in the way. Just twist, twist, twist. Better than your fingers, because your fingers aren't as big, like I said. You try really hard not to pick it up or smudge it once it's on the paper. And when you pick it up, you can see that my suns start to connect. Whoa, it's right here. My suns start to connect, okay? And it twisted, all right? These little lines I drew connected. The square in this corner is now over in that corner. So when it's done, it's gonna have this big kind of sunburst in the middle, because that's what I chose to do, all right? I'm gonna send you a couple of pictures of other examples to maybe get your brain thinking and going. For this one, you definitely are going to be more abstract. So that means only lines and shapes for the most part. So when you're drawing your lines and shapes, I'm really hoping to see thin lines and thick lines. So you could do the side of a color pencil or your pen tip right here, or you could do larger ones, okay? So I'm looking for thin and thick lines, as well as that rotational symmetry, okay? I know that's a lot, so if you have any questions, hopefully the examples that are in your Google Classroom help you out. Otherwise, again, feel free to call me, email me. I have my Wednesday office hours. If you're kind of confused, you want to chat with me in person, that'd be great, all right? So happy printing. This will be due a week from today, whatever day this may be. I filmed this on one of our days off, or our Wednesdays we have. So again, any questions, let me know. Happy printing.